Imagine a vast and mysterious kingdom, a place not bound by physical boundaries or time. A kingdom where the greatest power is not found on the outside but within your own mind. A kingdom filled with secrets waiting to be revealed, where every thought, emotion, and belief has the potential to shape the reality you live in. Welcome to the kingdom of the mind, a fascinating journey that takes you to the heart of mental power and the invisible influence it has on everything we experience. In this text, Prentice Mulford invites you to explore the mysteries of thought, creativity, and spiritual connection. You will discover how your thoughts can create your reality, how your mind can be the key to unlocking your greatest desires, and how you can master the invisible forces that guide your life. As you progress on this journey, you will immerse yourself in a world where the impossible becomes possible, where your deepest beliefs can transform into a powerful source of creation. Get ready to open your mind, to see beyond the obvious, and to recognize the vast power that resides within you. This text is not just a story, it is a gateway to a new perception of life, a vision that will empower you to take control and direct your destiny. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and let the wise words of the kingdom of the mind carry you away. Your adventure toward mental freedom and the discovery of your own power begins now. Preserving and increasing physical and mental strength. How to maintain strength is an essential question in life. Both physical and mental strength are primarily based on the unified training of the mind and body. This means focusing entirely on one task at a time, dedicating all necessary thought to carry it out, and excluding any other thoughts unrelated to that specific act. Mental and physical strength are fundamental to enjoying life and achieving success. A weak body enjoys little. In fact, our bodies function as reservoirs of strength. Daily activities such as eating and sleeping are ways to replenish that energy. When we are full of energy and vitality, we enjoy our daily activities, be it a walk, our work, or any other effort we undertake. It is vital to understand how to conserve as much of that energy as possible throughout the day and, if possible, how to increase it. This energy and strength are not only intrinsically valuable for our well-being, but also have tangible commercial value. The body is simply the tool used by the mind. If the body is weak, the power of our thoughts can be wasted in resisting that weakness, turning the mind into a worker struggling to achieve its goals with a deficient tool. Eventually, if this flawed tool is not addressed, it could damage or even destroy the mind's capacity. I remember the words of an old miner who once told me, "Young man, you're working too hard at shoveling. You should focus more on how you use the shovel." Reflecting on this, I realized that shoveling earth required the mind and muscles to work together. The mind must direct the muscles, ensuring that the shovel is placed efficiently and that the earth is thrown correctly. Moreover, each muscular movement while shoveling requires a tiny fraction of the mind's power. It is a synergy that highlights the importance of the mind-body connection in all our activities. I discovered that the more I focused on the shovel, the better I performed. What initially seemed like work began to feel like a game, and my energy for shoveling seemed to last longer. I observed that when my thoughts wandered to other things, regardless of what they were, my energy quickly diminished. I'm not referring to the impulsive, fleeting power that comes from fury or anger. That is not true power, but a waste of strength. Every act in our lives, whether tying a shoelace, writing a letter, or sharpening a pencil, must be carried out with method, precision, accuracy, and care. In short, with the power of concentration. I remember my first day shoveling in the California gold mines as a boy. The more I enjoyed the act of shoveling, the better I did. Things are always done better when we enjoy them. As an ancient philosophical system says, whatever you do, do it with all your strength. Every impatient action or thought, no matter how small, leads to unnecessary waste of strength. If you ever feel exhausted while walking, not just physically, but because your mind has been preoccupied with reflecting, worrying, or planning, try focusing all your mind, attention, and energy on your limbs and feet. You might find your energy returning and your fatigue fading. Before picking a pin off the ground, you mentally project a plan to do so. That plan represents strength. You use that strength in your body, the instrument to pick up the pin. It is essential not to mix that plan with another, avoiding distractions while your body performs the action. If you do, you would divide and thus weaken your strength, trying to send it in two directions at once. Every physical act requires a thought, and every thought involves a specific expenditure of strength. Each step you take needs a mental plan, a thought effort. Thought consumes energy, a force made of invisible substance. Even in what we consider moments of idleness, we are working and using this energy. If, while performing a physical action, you are thinking about something else, you are wasting energy and scattering your thoughts. This premise applies to all aspects of life. If an acrobat did not put all his mind and strength into climbing a rope hand over hand, do you think he could do it easily? Could a speaker move an audience if, at the same time, he had to sharpen a stone? Do not underestimate the value of training your mind. By learning to concentrate on each small act, you are preparing yourself to face greater challenges with your full attention and energy. Training yourself to focus all your thoughts on a single task and not let them wander is essential. By doing so, we develop the ability to channel our energy and attention into our words when we speak, our skill when we use tools, our voice when we sing, and any function or ability we wish to exercise at a given moment. Impatience, though it may seem like a minor act, wastes both our physical and mental strength. It is similar to trying to untie a tight knot roughly. Individuals with weaker minds or disabilities often struggle with manual gripping. There are training schools where these children are taught to grip and lift their bodies using a bar. It often takes considerable time before they can achieve this, because their minds cannot focus all their energy on a single action. This difficulty may vary in degrees depending on the level of mental disability. People are often advised not to dwell on their problems, but how do we teach them to divert their minds from such matters? In confrontational situations where one may feel confused or overwhelmed, it is crucial to have all available energy to handle the situation. By developing the ability to focus all our energy on a single task, we also cultivate the capacity to shift our mind's focus from one topic to another. This enables us to divert our attention from a problem and focus on something more pleasant, which can be helpful in overcoming moments of pain or disappointment. Aren't we sometimes trapped in a loop of repetitive thoughts? In such situations, our minds, like a millstone, wear themselves out by repeating the same ideas over and over again. One way to break this cycle is to redirect our energy toward another activity or thought for a while. For example, when we are exhausted, a pleasant conversation with a friend can be rejuvenating. This interaction may be even more restorative than simply resting alone. The conversation provides us with mental rest and revitalizes us. However, that act of conversing involved an investment of energy. At that moment, your attention and strength were entirely channeled into that conversation. But what do we need afterward? Rest for our overworked brain. It is similar to when we exhaust all our strength trying to open a stuck door by violently tugging at the handle because it won't yield. If I try to turn a sharpening stone using only one arm, after a while, I exhaust that energy and muscular strength. But if I change the task and start turning it with a pedal using my foot, I rest my arm, and after a short interval, I can resume the task with my arm revitalized and full of energy. The same logic applies to mental efforts. When we are entirely focused on a particular topic or plan and cannot stop thinking about it, do we always achieve clarity? Not always. In times of mental distress, if we manage to change our perspective and rebuild with a more refined focus and material, we take a step in the right direction. Sometimes a simple conversation helps us change direction, but can we do it alone, without another person's intervention? Can we easily shift our focus from one topic to another, or from one task to another? For instance, can we go from thinking about building our house to the simple task of sharpening a pencil, without letting the thought of the house interrupt that process? Could we really sharpen that pencil for a whole minute without thinking about anything else? By achieving such a level of concentration, we have reached significant power, the ability to focus entirely on a task with all the necessary force and save unnecessary energy for future actions. This ability grants us a portion of the greatest power in the universe, allowing us not only to increase our happiness, but also our productivity. If we master this technique, we can accomplish whatever we set our minds to and do it better each time. At that moment, we truly master our minds, and as the adage says, we are not true leaders until we learn to lead ourselves. A conversation allows us to temporarily divert certain concerns. transporting our mind from one idea to another. It is in the intrinsic nature of our complex and marvelous systems to be capable of self-repair. By giving any function a break after it has been used intensely, we promote this self-repair. Constant problems, be they debts, personal conflicts, emotional distress, or any other type, wear down both the mind and the body, diminishing our ability to face them adequately. An agitated mind resembles turbulent waters. What we truly need is the ability to close that gate of muddy water and let clear water flow. Constantly troubling thoughts, along with a mind tormented by uncertainty and anxiety, can drain us to the point of feeling physically exhausted. The ability to forget and redirect our thoughts toward a more positive direction is a way to stop this drain and regain our energy. Consider the advantages of focusing all our energy on a single task, no matter how trivial it may seem. If only for a brief moment, you focus all your attention on simply inserting a pin into your dress. In that moment, you will have freed yourself from your worries. In that instant, you will have strengthened your ability to concentrate. We are then on the path toward total mastery of our minds and emotions. Today, for many, emotions dictate the mind. We act like weather vanes, influenced by any small change in our environment. We cannot be sure of maintaining a positive and optimistic mindset for long, as it can be easily altered by an unfavorable event, a hurtful word from a friend, an unpleasant message from an adversary, or even a fleeting thought. The ability to focus on one task at a time is a fundamental skill that can greatly enhance our efficiency and performance. If you focus on a task, such as sewing, you become completely immersed in it, undistracted by other thoughts. Like cutting with scissors, focusing on one task at a time allows you to perform it with greater precision and avoid mistakes. Enumerating the benefits of concentration, accuracy and efficiency. By focusing on a task like hammering a nail with precision and care, you are more likely to do it correctly. Mental rest. Concentrating on one task and not thinking about another gives other parts of your mind a necessary rest. It's similar to focusing on hammering a nail without thinking about cutting wood, preparing your mind to tackle the next task with renewed energy. Development of concentration. Every time you fully concentrate on a task, even for a few seconds, you strengthen your ability to focus. Increased pleasure in the activity. Total focus on an activity, whether mental or physical, often produces enjoyment. For example, a dancer completely focused on their movements experiences superior grace and skill. However, concentration can be challenging, especially if we have developed habits of distraction over the years. How do we regain this vital skill? The key lies in desiring it and striving for it. Like other skills, concentration can be improved with practice and a genuine desire to change. Pray for it, long to improve, and demand discipline from yourself to focus on each task at hand. Over time and with practice, the ability to fully concentrate on one task will strengthen and become second nature. We can misuse the body and brain in performing an act, whether benevolent or malicious, and the consequences will be the same. Some might argue, I have so many responsibilities and tasks at home. How can I carry out the idea of doing everything with attention? However, it is crucial to understand that the laws governing our internal forces, whether yours or mine, do not distinguish the number of things burdening us. Try this exercise. Think occasionally, or at regular intervals if you prefer, about the word concentration. A word is the symbol of a thought. By meditating on it, we can continuously strengthen our executive mental power, will, and clarity. We often speak of universal love as the pillar of happiness. Shouldn't we extend that love to things and actions as well as to people? If there is an action that, while beneficial, displeases me, am I not distancing myself from universal love? While we strive against our imperfections, it is vital to remember that we may also err in that struggle. Even when our efforts are directed toward good, we can sin against the body and mind. Whether you are standing behind a counter or walking down the street, you can perform a genuine and meaningful task in an instant. Those seized moments, though brief, are immensely valuable. While they may not bring immediate rewards, these instants accumulate small gems of experience and wisdom. I wish to share an inspired reflection based on the advice, consider the lilies of the field. This is not a warning or a threat, but a message of hope. The world today yearns for more hope. In many ways, we have become a hopeless society. Much of this feeling arises because previous teachings have repeatedly reminded us of our mistakes and the consequences of continuing on the same path. However, it is essential to focus on hope and the inherent goodness we all possess. We are rarely reminded of the goodness and power we carry within. By pausing, even for a few seconds, and focusing on this thought, we connect with the stream of universal concentration and construction. By linking to this stream, we draw from it what we seek. Every fragment of wisdom or understanding we gain is like a stone added to the solid foundation we are building. These stones never disappear, even if it takes time for their true relevance to become apparent. Ask and you shall receive, knock, and it shall be opened unto you. It is essential to understand that thoughts are tangible and have power. It would be a mistake to think that our current existence, this brief life, is all we have been or will be. We may have existed in other forms such as animals, birds, snakes, insects, or even plants. And nearly all the matter we see today has undergone transformations, submerged in the ocean, embedded in icebergs, expelled by volcanoes, and endured centuries of evolution. The scriptures state clearly, as a man or woman thinks, so he or she is. When someone has low self-esteem, they may fall into bad habits or behaviors. The pride that leads a person to value themselves is the same that protects them from petty and degrading actions. We are beginning to awaken to the recognition that each individual possesses powers beyond what we currently imagine. By learning to harness these powers, we will transform evils into good. Like a lily or any other plant that grows and beautifies itself by following universal laws, human beings have evolved under these same laws over countless centuries. Our perception of ourselves has been greatly influenced by voices that have wrongly instilled a negative view of us. It is time to reject those beliefs and recognize our true worth and potential. Those with a negative self-image will inevitably act according to that perception. For ages, our essence has been embedded in the depths of the earth, and we have continually evolved, sometimes taking one form, sometimes another. With each transformation, we have gained a little more intelligence and strength. Despite these advances, we still have a long way to go. The lily, with its apparent simplicity, possesses its own life and intelligence. You may disagree with me on this, and it is a valid debate. Most people believe that only humans have intelligence, attributing the actions of animals and plants to instinct or similar concepts. Personally, I see intelligence as something as omnipresent as air, though distributed in varying degrees among different forms of life. Among all creatures, humans possess the greatest concentration of this cognitive capacity. This capacity is what we call thought. Thought is a powerful and intangible force, undetectable by our physical senses. The more developed this capacity is in a person, the more life and vigor they will possess. I'm not referring to scholars or academics. Many of these individuals simply consume the thoughts of others. I refer to those who continuously generate original and renewed ideas. This kind of thought vitalizes both the body and the mind. The lily has the intrinsic intelligence to begin its life on its own. It possesses the common sense to grow toward the sun. Where the lily surpasses us, despite its limited life and intelligence, is in its ability to live in the present. It does not worry about the future. It simply lives. If you place a lily in a room, it will grow toward the light source. This is not by chance. The lily inherently understands that it needs light and strives to reach it because it senses it is essential for its well-being. We seek food for the same reasons that guide plants toward light. However, we attribute our actions to intelligence while labeling the plant's action as instinct. When a man approaches a fire to warm himself, he does so because he feels the fire benefits him. It is comforting to feel it on a cold day. Similarly, a cat lies in the sun for the same reason. Yet the man credits his action to intelligence, while considering the actions of the cat or the plant as instinct. In truth, where does the difference lie? All forms of life require essential elements: water, air, sunlight, and whatever each of these may contain. Plants, like humans, have the ability to discern and seek what they need at any given moment. Just as a seed grows toward the sun when provided with proper soil, a human being should also seek the sun, a source of life and energy, to revitalize themselves. Those who choose to remain indoors most of the time end up weakened. Plants, in their inherent wisdom, do not excessively accumulate water, air, or sunlight. They take only what they need in the moment, trusting that the universe will provide. If the lily were to constantly worry, fearing the sun might not shine the next day or that there might be no water, or concerning itself with human problems like money or food shortages, it would lose its essence. it would consume all its energy in worries and anxieties, forgetting to absorb the vital elements needed to fully bloom. Similarly, if any being endowed with mind or intelligence obsesses and burdens itself with worries beyond the needs of the present day, it risks disconnecting from the natural flow of life and energy. Just as it is unnatural for the lily to hoard resources out of fear, humans should not exhaust themselves in obsessive accumulation of goods out of fear for the future. Otherwise, we become trapped in an endless cycle of hoarding and worrying, hindering our evolution and growth. Like the lily, we should aspire to bloom in our purest essence, surpassing even the magnificence of Solomon in all his glory. Nature bestows upon every flower, be it a lily, a rose, or any other, a beauty, texture, and delicacy that surpass any human creation. While a flower lives, its beauty is vibrant and dynamic. In contrast, our fine lace and silks, though beautiful, possess a static beauty. They begin to decay or lose their splendor almost immediately after their creation. At its peak, the lily continues to bloom with increasing majesty. If a fabric existed that became more radiant and changed its texture every day, even if it lasted only 15 days, it would be eagerly sought after. Those with exquisite tastes, the same individuals who drive the economy and the circulation of money, would covet it passionately. The lily, in its simplicity, draws toward itself everything it needs for its growth, health, and daily flourishing. I am not speaking metaphorically or allegorically. I refer to pure reality. The lily's mind, free from future worries, attracts the essentials for each day. Human minds, if freed from anxieties and concerns, would do exactly the same, drawing what is necessary for the present moment. The needs of the moment are the only ones that truly matter. For example, in the morning, you need your breakfast for today, not tomorrow's. However, many of us exhaust ourselves worrying about the future, weakening our ability to fully enjoy and take advantage of the present. Just as the lily, unburdened by cares, draws from its environment everything necessary to grow and bloom splendidly, the human mind, when free from worry, can effortlessly attract everything it needs to achieve its goals and find happiness. But that power vanishes the moment we let ourselves be consumed by worry. I refer to the ability to perform any activity, from the highest to the humblest. Every professional knows they perform best in a state of serenity and confidence. The lesson nature gives us through the lily is clear. A life free from worry is not only more pleasant but also more fruitful. It is a reminder that we must live in the present, trusting that the future will bring what we need when the time comes. The power of thought and the mind. Every artist knows they produce their best work when their mind is fully focused, concentrated, and absorbed in the task at hand. If we allow the mind to operate freely, like the lily, it provides us with everything we can enjoy during the day. Because in reality, we can only enjoy so much in a single day. For instance, a man can only eat and enjoy one dinner at a time, even if he has money for 10 dinners. The best approach is to have a single plan and focus on it entirely. When an individual can fully concentrate on their task or business, they not only utilize all their power but also attract more toward themselves. This power, once attracted, becomes an integral part of them. I understand those who say, "I can't help but worry. Times are tough, wages are low, costs are high, and I have a large family to support." But regardless of how valid those arguments may be, worrying has a cost. It weakens the mind, damages health, ages the body, and worst of all, diminishes your power. The law that operates behind this reality is relentless. If you stand in its way, it will crush you, just like a locomotive would if you stood on the tracks. Generations before us have fallen into the habit of worrying, but the destructive consequences of this forward-thinking anxiety remain the same. The ideal is to align yourself with this law and use it to your advantage. How? Choose to focus on hope instead of despair. Focus on success instead of failure. The habit of thinking about negative and hopeless things has become so ingrained that if someone says, "It's a beautiful day," many will respond with skepticism. But just as the universe is governed by immutable laws, it is a fact that if you think about positive things, you will attract positivity. On the contrary, if you focus on the negative, you will disconnect from positivity and align yourself with darkness. In situations of panic, if you allow yourself to be swept away by the crowd, you may end up falling victim to chaos. It is crucial to learn how to direct our thoughts and not let circumstances drag us down. Life, as experienced by thousands of people today, resembles a panicked crowd driven by fear, be it fear of hunger or some other anxiety. Any fear, regardless of its origin, brings with it the loss of power. I'm not suggesting that people should stop worrying. Actually, the word should is not in my vocabulary. People, in fact, cannot help but worry. This habit seems to be born with us. Let's talk about simplicity. What could be simpler in this world? Take, for example, a seed. If it is placed in the soil where it receives warmth from the sun and some moisture, it will germinate. The simplicity of the movement of a kettle lid as water boils inspired Watt to discover the powerful force of steam. Here he uncovered the formidable force behind steam, which is none other than heat. But beyond heat, what force operates? The art of study also falls within this realm. As young people, we were instructed to study, but rarely were we taught how to study correctly, or in other words, how to acquire true ideas. Simply memorizing words, phrases, and rules does not equate to acquiring genuine ideas. It is merely memorization, exercising and training that segment of the mind that retains sounds. If you only memorize words and phrases excessively, you are overloading a specific part of your mind, placing extra weight on it. This would be as absurd as giving a name to every nail in your carpet, and considering it your duty to remember each one by name. Some may see the sprouting of a seed as something trivial. However, the true reason behind its germination remains a mystery we have not yet fully deciphered. When you overload your memory, you put immense strain on its capacity to recall. Reflect. How many details from the day can you retain while immersed in your daily responsibilities? A combination of household matters, personal duties, and strict instructions to remember everything creates unnecessary mental strain. This overload is palpable, unsettling, and confusing. Today's children, under the umbrella of our so-called modern educational system, face similar challenges. They are bombarded with thousands of facts under the justification that they might be useful in the future. Memory serves the purpose of retaining what the spirit has grasped. No matter how much book knowledge one acquires, it will not teach them how to properly navigate a ship. They must self-educate only through practice and multiple mistakes. Learning, for instance, that the rudder must be held in a specific position to counter the wind's force on the sail is a lesson only internalized through memory after repeated experiences. Words alone are not ideas, they are mere symbols that, whether seen or heard, represent an idea in our minds. A word or phrase that holds profound meaning for one person may be meaningless to another. It's like trying to teach you to shoot simply by burdening you with rifles. You could carry those rifles all your life, but that would not make you a skilled marksman. Do you truly have the time or energy to think through, guide, and meticulously recall every step for every action? Initially, you gained an idea from someone who already knew, such as learning to dance. To learn effectively and quickly, one must adopt a specific mental state, one of serenity and repose. This is entirely opposite to the state in which children typically study their lessons. Forcing oneself to study intensely or hastily is merely a futile effort to make memory work within a specific time frame. If you wish to learn an art or skill, do so at your own pace and according to your inspiration. Do not torment yourself over others' opinions about the necessity of knowing certain fundamentals. The essential thing is to absorb the idea or thought. Once you have it, your mind, that invisible part of you, will gradually begin teaching your body to move according to the mental design you have established. Issuing specific directions or steps to your memory will not benefit you at all. In fact, if, while learning an art, you focus on recalling specific instructions, your attention will shift to those words rather than to the task at hand. As a result, your learning process will stagnate rather than progress. It is through exercise and practice that people learn to drive, shoot, row, swim, skate, dance, paint, sculpt, weave, sew, and perform countless other actions. Teaching rules without actual practice provides no real learning. Does anyone learn to dance by memorizing the rules before moving to the rhythm of the music? When someone achieves remarkable results, they are called a genius. Curiously, people then tend to codify the genius's method into a rigid set of rules, which are then imposed on others attempting to follow in their footsteps in that art. However, a genius uses methods as we would use a crutch, useful for a time but eventually discarded in pursuit of better approaches. True geniuses, like Napoleon in military science, constantly innovate. They can see the futility of following the same path repeatedly, even if they themselves mapped it previously. If you ever find yourself in a state of haste and worry, stop. That mental state is entirely contrary to learning and only depletes your energy. A true genius knows how to make their own rules if allowed to innovate, and will create new and original methods. Great figures like Shakespeare, Byron, Burns, or Napoleon did not follow pre-established rules. They trusted their inner power and the suggestions that arose from their essence regarding the methods to follow. Do not be overwhelmed if you feel you are not advancing as quickly as you'd like in any art or vocation. Do not despair over repeated failures. Maintain calm and patience. If you persistently focus your mind on something, you will master that art over time. Mastery will come to you. It is true that a solid foundation is necessary in any discipline, but it is your spirit that can offer you the fastest and most effective teaching. In this sense, art has its roots in that spiritual foundation. It emerged from there long ago. The casual combination of light, shadow, and color inspired someone to visually represent familiar objects on a canvas. From that inspiration arose concepts like perspective and the depiction of various surfaces. Anyone aspiring to learn, whether a beginner or a master, must start from that initial point and follow the same path. Art manifests in countless ways, and every creation, no matter how accidental it may seem, is an extension of its creator. It is their own child. When the mind is free to follow its own teachings, to trust its intuition and the guidance of the spirit, it reaches its most inspired state. If you take the time, whether 15 minutes or half an hour a day, to play with a box of colors, experiment, overlay tones, and observe how they blend, you will discover a world in those shades. Skies, mountains, and forests will reveal themselves in these plays of light and shadow. A smudge may transform into a rugged rock, and a few simple lines can evoke tree trunks. With a touch of blue, a pond appears, and green marks become bushes. Suddenly you have before you a landscape which, no matter how rudimentary, will seem more beautiful to you than any masterpiece. However, one must be cautious of excessive enthusiasm. If euphoria from sudden success or the discovery of something long sought overwhelms you, you may lose that inspiration. It is essential not to rush or let impatience take over. Each detail, each broken tool, each action must be approached with complete calm and attention, as if it were the only task of the day. In this state of serenity and repose, the body becomes the perfect instrument of the mind or spirit, governed by your thoughts and your real invisible essence. Your spirit can work in your favor, extend its hand, and retrieve the idea or method you seek. The ideal state for studying, discovering, and remembering methods is one of utmost tranquility, free from haste or agitation. When the body and mind are in this condition, and the rules imposed by others are suspended, the true artist is born. Rules created by others only produce imitators and copyists. A strict rule that cannot be transgressed acts as a shackle, an obstacle that prevents progress toward new frontiers of thought. Observation and inquiry teach us that people, too, can be like open books. You can read their expressions and determine how they feel or what their disposition is. Without realizing it, one ends up classifying people, cataloging them in the mind based on their characteristics. An individual can represent thousands or even an entire race. We are constantly learning, even in the simplest moments. When you walk and observe people, you are studying. You can discern the nature of a man by how he looks at a woman, or detect the ostentatious pride of wealth in a woman's excessive attire. In reality, you are analyzing human nature. A deep understanding of human nature has tangible value, even in monetary terms. It is the understanding and the means to realize that vision that matters. The serenity of the body and calmness of the mind enhance this understanding, showing the way forward to achieve what you desire. By cultivating this disposition, one increasingly becomes a channel for the transmission of new ideas, connecting with the highest spheres of thought and drawing from their wisdom and inspiration. In that moment, your mind becomes a serene lake, a mirror reflecting all that is above. You learn more and more about the various facets of human nature, adapted and molded individuals. Jesus Christ selected the 12 individuals he deemed most capable of understanding his truths. He taught them through intuition, that internal teaching that resides within all of us. Intuition is the internal teacher, and this teacher lives within each of us. If we nurture it and seek wisdom, guidance, and suggestions from the infinite spirit, That intuition can grow into genius. Genius has the ability to recognize hidden potentials, see diamonds in the rough, and identify qualities of success in people regardless of their external status. They may be social equals or mere peasants, educated or uneducated by worldly standards. Culture allows us to express ourselves eloquently, to write and speak with precision. But this does not necessarily translate into the capacity for action. There are those who, despite all their culture, barely survive on a modest income working in an office, serving a boss who, though lacking culture and speaking with poor grammar, earns a fortune thanks to their genius. A genius may not always excel in linguistic norms, but they possess the capacity to achieve colossal feats, moving mountains, building cities, or establishing rail and telegraph connections across the globe. A state of mental repose, serenity, and tranquility is crucial. In that state, one can discern with precision and speed. In just 5 seconds, you might determine whether or not you can trust someone. Trust is essential. It is the cornerstone of all success. Even in the criminal world, trust among accomplices is necessary for execution. The message here is clear. True potential goes beyond the surface. Intuition is a powerful tool that we all possess and, if properly nurtured, can lead us to unimaginable heights. Napoleon achieved his remarkable accomplishments thanks to his intuitive and self-taught understanding of people and their inherent strengths. He recognized their unique capabilities and how to leverage them. Obstacles may pile up instead of being removed, but it is important to understand that the calmer and more still we keep our bodies, the more energy we provide to the spirit. This energy enables the spirit to use its own senses and internal functions, those that bring perceptions beyond the 5 physical senses of sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. These spiritual senses are subtler and more powerful. For example, when awakened and trained, the inner or spiritual sense of one person can communicate with that of another, even if that person is in distant places like London or Beijing. It is possible that we are already connected, unknowingly, with someone thousands of kilometers away, more closely than with anyone in our immediate surroundings. Discoveries are made, and ideas are captured in moments of serenity. An eye that is constantly watchful and tense does not perceive a candle on the marine horizon as quickly as one that is not actively searching for it. Similarly, when we try to recall a name that has momentarily escaped us, we rarely succeed by trying too hard. It is only when we stop actively attempting that the name often returns to our minds. This effort to think creates unconscious muscle tension. When we try to work our brain, we send blood to the head. All of this acts as an impediment to our spirit, as if we were misusing its energy and going against what we truly desire. It is essential to learn to flow and allow our intuition and inner knowledge to guide us, rather than forcing and pressuring. The power of our spirit, though many are unaware of it, resides in all of us. It is an internal force capable of transcending the physical and bringing us plans, schemes, and ingenious ideas for our world of ambitions and achievements. These spiritual powers can be employed for all kinds of purposes. In fact, they often dominate our actions, even when we are not consciously using any other faculties. Spiritual laws can be applied to material domains, as well as to the pursuit of higher goals. However, when one learns to recognize and use this force with discernment, the highest motives will always channel greater energy, deeper thoughts, and superior genius. True success in any aspect of life arises from exercising this spiritual power. It is about being guided by the Spirit. If you have ever felt lost, you will discover that you find your way much faster by advancing slowly, keeping your spirit focused, rather than moving hastily without a clear purpose. An experienced hunter, for instance, immerses himself in this state of mind and ventures calmly into the forest, while an inexperienced youth, overwhelmed by excitement, may run recklessly without direction. With a focused spirit, you can remain in constant communication, transcending the limitations of space and time, connecting with forces that go beyond our usual understanding of distance. The value of not overloading or overly fatiguing the body is evident in daily life. The most successful person in the business world is often the one who remains calm, the one who has learned to protect their body from excessive wear, allowing their spirit to operate with clarity. If only we could always remain in this state of spiritual concentration. And the truth is, we can. In this state, our spirit is at rest, maintaining its energy in reserve, using only what is necessary to mobilize our body. When we find this balance, we are in tune, absorbing thoughts and energies that guide us in the right direction. Sometimes you find yourself immersed in a serene state of mind, feeling completely in harmony with yourself, satisfied and content. You walk with palpable peace, free from hurry or irrational desires, experiencing deep tranquility with everything around you. You forget conflicts, worries, and fears. In these moments, the forest, the sky, and the crowds bring you profound pleasure. When you truly immerse yourself and observe them with fascination, you are at one with your surroundings. However, if in the midst of this absorption something disturbs or agitates your emotions, that power of absorption is affected. To absorb thought is to gain enduring power, just as a hunter detached from his physical surroundings allows an unrecognized sense to emerge and guide his way, finding what he seeks. There is profound truth in being guided by the spirit. This principle applies to all facets of being, whether our intentions are noble or self-serving. In this observant mindset, you notice details and nuances in people and their behavior that would otherwise go unnoticed. Your calm and undisturbed mind is filled with vivid and pleasant impressions. It is possible to cultivate this state of internal rest and stillness so that, even in the midst of work and effort, you feel profound repose. Your invisible energies concentrate, allowing you to focus all your strength on any task or challenge before you. This is the state of mind you would want when facing someone powerful and arrogant, someone who might try to intimidate you with just a glance. Yet, if you maintain this internal state, you will find yourself on equal footing or even superior. That person will sense your strength before you utter a word. This is the same mindset needed when dealing with a shrewd merchant whose demeanor suggests they expect something from you. This state of serenity and focus is ideal for studying, working, or simply enjoying. These three actions should be synonymous. Without this state of mind, it is difficult to fully appreciate any experience. But by cultivating it, everything becomes increasingly enjoyable. It is the mindset of construction and growth. The ability to absorb thought can vanish in an instant. In that moment, our spirit ceases to be receptive. Like an open hand ready to receive ideas, it transforms into a closed fist, ready for combat, reacting impulsively to any annoying or pressing stimulus. When we say we send our thoughts, we mean that our thinking, like a tangible element, directs itself toward the place or person that concerns us. This energy, a combination of physical and mental force, leaves us. In this agitated state, we stop learning. Rest and mental serenity imply a constant state of learning, leading to uninterrupted acquisition of knowledge. Some professionals may not recognize this dynamic in themselves, but apply it in their interactions with clients, unaware of the law underlying their actions. One obstacle we face, especially as students, is the desire to learn at an accelerated pace. We underestimate the true power that resides in knowledge acquired steadily and the influence we project when all our capacities are aligned. Some skilled merchants exude this power, acting like hypnotists, with influence as palpable as that displayed in public spectacles. In a state of calm and concentration, our spirit acts like a magnet. As we centralize our energies, our ability to attract ideas amplifies. This power grows with practice. If you are constantly attracting ideas, you are consolidating and expanding your power. You draw new projects, strategies, and innovations toward you, sharpening all your skills for any task or business. A spirit so concentrated becomes an unstoppable force, capable of both resisting and attracting with equal potency. This state not only allows the absorption of ideas, but also provides instructions to the muscles on how to implement them. Great inventions are born when the mind is in this receptive state, not when it strains excessively. In such a state, you could draw a perfect circle on paper with a simple stroke of a pen. There are people with such persuasive skill that they can make you buy something regardless of your initial desire, and they often succeed. These individuals project a powerful mental energy that influences the actions of others. Thought, although invisible, is a substance that we all absorb. When we take on the thoughts of another, they intertwine with our own. Many people assume that their essence is limited solely to their physical body, as if a carpenter considered himself only a tool, like a saw or hammer. True self-mastery is achieved when one can forget the body and use it merely as an instrument. It is much easier to draw a line with a pencil when acting without expectations or concerns, compared to doing so while filled with anxiety. In moments of calm, the true power of the spirit has the opportunity to manifest. Those who act fearlessly, setting aside notions of success or failure, are the ones most likely to undertake bold actions. While others may hesitate or attempt with trepidation, this person sees only challenges, not dangers. In this state, the spirit truly dominates. To master oneself means that the spirit has the power to control and use the body as its instrument, just as a carpenter does not constantly think about his tool while using it, but focuses on the skill with which he wields it. Similarly, our thoughts should focus on ability, not just on the instrument. The spirit must be cultivated, for its lack of development can lead to the absorption of negative influences. The relationships we form with others influence us. If you associate with someone whose sense of purpose and refinement is superior to yours, you will benefit. However, if their intentions and values are inferior to yours, you will be affected. Your perception, values, and judgment will blend with those of this person. Hence the saying that bad company corrupts good morals. It is possible, due to these influences, to see clearly in one direction and remain blind in another. This influence can be as powerful as hypnosis. If you associate closely with someone, their thoughts can dominate yours. If you are rarely alone and constantly surrounded by the same person, you will be persistently influenced by their thoughts. Associating intimately with someone who immerses themselves in negative or limiting thoughts means absorbing those thoughts. You may begin to believe that their perspectives and opinions are genuinely your own. However, if you distance yourself from that person for a while, you will discover that many of those opinions change as you free yourself from the influence of their thinking. By sharing time and space with someone, you inevitably adopt, to some extent, their way of seeing, feeling, and judging the world. Your thoughts and spirit intertwine with theirs, making you no longer fully yourself but a fusion of both. This can distance you from what truly matters to you. True power lies in the ability to maintain a joyful and positive state of mind. When you master this power and do not let circumstances dominate your mood, everything in the material world adjusts to that state. The relationship between the spiritual and the material is precisely exact in its operation. Constantly associating with pessimistic, irritable, or cynical people can be harmful. Even if you consider yourself strong and resolute, it is inevitable that you will absorb some of their negativity, which can cloud your judgment and affect your determination. Their thinking, imbued with negative qualities, will influence you to some degree. It is crucial to stay away from such negative influences. You should never allow yourself to be controlled or influenced by someone else's thoughts, especially if you wish to remain authentic. This desire to protect your essence is a request from your spirit to be free. Power and happiness are synonymous in this context. Power is the ability to maintain a clear mind free of negative external influences. If you continually immerse yourself in corrupt or negative thoughts, those thoughts will affect your physical well-being, manifesting as illnesses or health problems. The impurity of the spirit can translate into impurity of the blood, and consequently, into impurity of the body. Your thoughts, which originate from your spirit, are always incorporated into it. An impure or corrupt thought has repercussions beyond the mind, attracting into your life visible elements that reflect that impurity. On the other hand, a hopeful and determined mind focused on a purpose will attract things and forces aligned with that goal, thereby facilitating the path to success both personally and professionally. People dominated by a gloomy state of mind attract to themselves somber circumstances and elements. Those who feel constantly discouraged and dejected fail to succeed in life and end up being a burden to others. On the other hand, those filled with hope, confidence, and joy attract favorable elements for success. We can perceive a person's dominant mood through the small signals they display in their daily life. For example, a man's care or neglect toward his front or rear appearance can reflect his emotional state. Similarly, a woman may express her mood through her clothing. Dishevelment is a declaration of despair, neglect, and disorder. It is essential to understand that rags and dirt are external manifestations of internal conflict. They exist in the mind before being reflected in the body. The value of each thought is immeasurable, not only in metaphysical terms, but also in tangible consequences. The vitality of the body, the sharpness of the mind, success in business, and even the pleasure of sharing with others are intrinsically linked to the nature of our thoughts. In fact, our thoughts are extensions of our being and have a direct impact on our health and well-being. Every troubling, discouraged, dejected, or desperate thought acts as a burden on the spirit, and what weighs on the spirit eventually affects the body. Grieving over a loss can weaken a person just as much as yielding to certain temptations deemed immoral. From this perspective, constantly worried individuals are making a grave mistake. They are cultivating a restless spirit and solidifying this state until it becomes a habit difficult to break. This, over time, deteriorates the body and can lead to premature decline. From this viewpoint, such individuals might be considered as responsible for their poor condition as those who succumb to diseases caused by more evident vices. Every illness, whether physical or spiritual, is a consequence of violating certain universal laws. Whether it is excessive alcohol consumption leading to delirium tremens or licentious thoughts corroding the mind, both harm the body and spirit. Both ailments stem from transgressions, and both carry a price to pay. In essence, what we carry within manifests outwardly. If someone is constantly immersed in selfish, cynical, or gloomy thoughts, it is likely they will transmit them to their surroundings, affecting not only their own well-being, but also that of others. It is essential to be aware of this fact and work on cultivating positive thoughts and attitudes for one's benefit and that of the community. Your value and charm to others are not determined solely by what you say, but, to a large extent, by what you think. If your thoughts are pure, clean, luminous, confident, and brave, you become a valuable presence wherever you go. People will be glad to see you because, in presenting yourself, you bring not just your physical presence, but also the essence of your thoughts. You bring pleasure, strength, and vitality to those around you. Your positive energy strengthens and invigorates, and people feel renewed in your company. You are like a fountain of health and joy, capable of softening even the most bitter character. It is not always necessary to speak to impact those around you. Silently, yet with powerful resonance, your thoughts are felt. If they are pleasant and positive, those nearby will feel comforted. However, the opposite is also true. A negative or critical thought can cause discomfort to others. What is often described as a person's magnetism actually stems from their thoughts. This magnetic force or influence is perceived and felt by others. If your mindset is pessimistic, envious, or critical, it repels. But if it is joyful, optimistic, and seeks goodness, it inevitably attracts. Still, it is important to recognize that being surrounded by people with negative or inferior thoughts can diminish your own energy and power. This influence, although invisible, is as real as anything we can perceive with our senses. Associating with individuals dominated by destructive or harmful thoughts may lead them to perceive you as an adversary, sensing the nature of those thoughts emanating from you. However, if you inwardly convey the message, "I am not your adversary, I hold no animosity towards you, I wish you to appreciate me," over time, that person will feel and recognize this thought. The force of good always prevails over that of evil. This is a law of nature. Goodwill towards others is a constructive force in the universe. It nourishes our essence, strengthens our body, purifies our blood, and tones our muscles. When we can genuinely affirm, "I consider no one my enemy," then we truly have no enemies. To maintain the notion of having enemies and perpetuate this feeling in our thoughts is counterproductive. The true foundation of a person's power and charm lies in the intention expressed with these words. "I wish to help you in every way I can. I want to strengthen you, improve your health, boost your business, and help you occupy the place where your talents shine the brightest." When this thought is genuine, it becomes an unstoppable force. Every act of goodwill we attract is like an invisible thread of vital energy that adds to our strength. It is a stream of essence that nourishes and fortifies us. By connecting with this energy, we attune to a higher plane of existence where the most powerful minds dwell, and where creations and manifestations surpass our wildest imagination. Everything our fables and fantasies have conceived finds its reality on these higher planes of thought. By aligning our intentions with this universal flow of goodwill, we draw from its immense power. In this state, we are protected against adversity. This is not mere sentimentality. It is a palpable truth reflected in our health and symmetry of being. It is the true elixir of life. The more thoughts of this nature we embrace, the more vitality and energy we accumulate. In this way, we draw the best from everyone we interact with. Conversely, if we immerse ourselves in thoughts of antagonism, we attract toxic elements that can harm our body. People steeped in negativity are, in a sense, hated into oblivion. The accumulated hostility can deteriorate and even destroy health. However, this negativity holds no power against the force of a genuine desire to do good and act justly. By persistently harboring goodwill toward all, we connect with a higher and more potent level of thought, reaping countless benefits. Christ controlled the elements through the power of his thought and profound connection to a superior world, vastly more immense in thought than we can perceive. He assured that what is unseen outnumbers the visible by more than 10,000 times. Based on this truth, Christ's command to do good to those who hate you is not merely a moral teaching, but also founded on a scientific fact and a natural law. Doing good aligns us with the elements of nature that carry power and kindness. In contrast, doing harm attracts destructive elements to us. With our spiritual eyes open, self-preservation should lead us to halt any malicious thought. Those who live fueled by hatred will perish by the same hatred. As the saying goes, those who live by the sword die by the sword. Every malevolent thought manifests as a drawn sword aimed at the target person. If that person responds with the same aggression, both are harmed. All of this follows the same system of laws that govern the heat of the sun, the blowing of the winds, the movement of the tides, and the growth of seeds. Any mood you harbor invokes an invisible substance that corresponds to that state. This aligns with both chemical and spiritual laws, as chemistry is not limited to just visible elements. On one occasion, a woman touched the hem of Christ's garment with the hope of being healed. Upon feeling the power go out from him, he asked, "Who touched me?" This power or virtue is not merely an abstract term, but a tangible manifestation of his spiritual energy. Thought, being a substance in itself, has the ability to condense to the point of manifesting physically when it is powerful enough. This was evident in the miracle of the multiplication of the loaves and fishes, and in other wonders performed by Christ. However, although Christ possessed this unique capacity, it would not have been beneficial for him to remain too long in association with those whose thoughts were negative. He would have had to exert immense resistance to counteract the adverse effects of their thoughts, energy that could have been more productively used in other areas. If one possesses elevated thoughts, there are limits to the good that can be done to certain people through direct interaction. It is essential to discern and act wisely. The Spirit of Christ, in its immaculate purity and sensitivity, immediately perceived the contact with any form of evil thought. When a woman full of negative thoughts approached him, Christ immediately felt the contamination of her mind. For him, it was like poison. That brief interaction momentarily interfered with his ability to control the elements, mixing with his energy and temporarily corrupting the power he had to discern people's nature. The ability to discern the nature of others is intrinsically linked to how free we are from bad thoughts. Purity is synonymous with power. For example, steel represents the purity and power of iron. In the same way, a pure spirit arises from the purest thoughts and in turn is the most powerful thought. Christ, aware of spiritual laws, was able to counteract the evil he felt by responding with a powerful thought of goodwill towards the woman, exclaiming, "Who touched me? Virtue has gone out of me." It is crucial where and with whom we choose to associate. We should be in places where our thoughts are appreciated and utilized. In such associations, both parties benefit, both mentally and physically, without being yoked together unequally. If one gives more than they receive, as in giving gold and receiving iron in return, both participants can be harmed. If a higher thought is offered that simply entertains and does not benefit beyond momentary joy, the benefit is minimal. Such people might value you more as entertainment than as a true source of wisdom. While it is gratifying to help those who gradually improve through the shared thought and influence, it is wise not to associate too closely with them. They may be considered spiritual relatives at a distance. On the other hand, if someone improves quickly through your influence, absorbing and practicing the truth you share, it is valuable and enriching to stay close to them. Spiritual relationships that you maintain are the closest you can have. When these relationships improve quickly, you acquire a certain quality of thought that comes from that improvement. This thought acts as nourishment and strength for your being. In this exchange, you give and receive, making the most of the relationship. If your thought is the dominant one, you should understand that there are no eternal separations between those who build their spirits with similar thoughts. They come closer and closer, building each other in the heart of the other. The constant fear of running out of something or being trapped may live with you, but there is always mutual enrichment. When the time comes to part, there is certainty that you will meet again, and when you do, you will discover more about each other. Although it may initially seem like a harsh and cruel law, it is actually the source of eternal peace and happiness. Upon reuniting after a separation, both will be stronger and improved by the experience. There are times when one needs time to assimilate what the other has provided. It is then that there may be brief periods of separation. However, when reuniting, both bring new thoughts and experiences gathered during their time apart. On the other hand, true slavery is when your own thoughts dominate you. You might be working for someone else, striving to earn your salary justly and honestly. But if you live with the constant fear of not fully satisfying or losing your job, you find yourself trapped in a mental slavery. It is essential to free yourself from such chains and find true freedom in understanding and spiritual growth. The slavery of fear is a chain that can imprison even the most superior minds. Imagine a person who is indispensable to their employer, an employer who could be fickle, unjust, or even tyrannical. If this invaluable person were to disappear, the employer would feel they had lost an essential part of themselves. Despite their skill and ability, this illustrious mind might remain trapped in a cycle of submission, constantly yielding to the whims of another and seeing their own ideas realized in incomplete or imperfect ways. There are no heavier chains than these that imprison the spirit and nullify identity. In such a scenario, the person is not truly doing their job. They are not materializing their vision. They might be trying, but their effort is not a reflection of a genuine thought. It is sad. But there are many people who live at the whim of indecisive minds, believing they depend on them for survival. These superior minds might, without even realizing it, be feeding the indecisive mind with their creativity, inventiveness, and wealth of thought. It must be understood and repeated that thought is substance and can be absorbed from one mind to another. The insecurities or negativities you feel may not genuinely be yours, but the result of another thought you have absorbed. Such subjugation can lead to an even harder struggle for survival. A high price is paid for this dependence. If you do not have a vision of your own in life, any mental disturbance can cause significant harm to the body and spirit. If you find yourself under the dominion of an unstable and erratic mind, you will absorb those qualities, becoming indecisive and unstable yourself, and as a result, you will affect those who seek your guidance in the same way you are affected. If a leader or employer does not have clarity about what they want, it is likely their subordinates won't have it either. It is vital to recognize these dynamics in order to free yourself from the invisible chains that can limit a person's potential and well-being. As long as you are enslaved by any fear, your thought will never be completely clear. Clear thought and plans have intrinsic measurable value, even in monetary terms. Unless you are content with being merely a servant or a paid helper, you will face certain penalties. In the long run, it will be less costly and painful to start your own business, no matter how humble. The beginning of doing so will require you to assume responsibilities. If you fear doing so, you resign yourself to slavery. If you recognize that you are the brain behind any enterprise, even if you don't hold the most visible position, then demand fair compensation for your efforts. If you feel that you are being exploited and do not act on it, you are as guilty as the one exploiting you. Living with the constant fear of ending up in misery is like already living in that situation. Paradoxically, you might feel less affected if you were actually in such a state. Constant and prolonged fear erodes both the mind and the body. Furthermore, a person who lives with this kind of fear is never satisfied with themselves. While it is beneficial to seek information and advice from many, it is wise to trust and seek opinions, especially regarding your own goals, only from a few. The most thoughtful, just, and considerate people are the ones who offer their opinions with the greatest caution. These same people are the ones who will remind you that what they offer is just their point of view. In contrast, ignorance, vanity, and injustice often speak in a dogmatic and pretentious tone. If you fail to understand what is truly expected of you, Be direct and express it. Do not strain yourself to complete a task for someone when they do not even have a clear idea of what they want or need. Stand firm in your own plan and vision. If you find meaning in any step or detail, no matter how trivial it seems, do not let others stray you from your path. The kingdom of the mind is populated by tyrants. These individuals crave control, often simply for the pure desire of power. Many may not be fully aware of their underlying motivations. To varying degrees, we are all capable of becoming those tyrants. How one feels at any given moment should not be confused with true information. By making this confusion, you not only harm yourself, but also trigger a chain reaction that affects those who depend on you. In the same way, they will influence those who interact with them. When the leader of an organization or company is erratic, capricious, and unstable, an environment of uncertainty and dissatisfaction is created throughout the structure. By trying to go against their approach, a set of forces that resist you is activated. These individuals will stop supporting you if they see that their efforts are in vain. In doing so, you are damaging your own clarity of judgment and vision. You have mixed your precise thought with less coherent influences. If you consider yourself superior and yet allow a mind you consider inferior to dominate or influence you, you are undermining your own success. You are gravely disturbing the plans of an invisible but beneficial force that could help you much more. Every time you let someone else's thoughts go against your own conviction or intuition, you are losing your best judgment. You begin to share that person's thoughts, which eventually leads you to think with a mindset similar to theirs. The one who influences you has a legion of invisible followers, minds similar to theirs. By handing over your thoughts to that person, perhaps without realizing it, you allow all of these followers to influence and dominate you. Worse yet, you push away your best invisible advisors because, although you do not deliberately reject them, their power diminishes. If you end up absorbing that dominant and biased thought, you end up being governed by that mindset, which could lead you to disregard opportunities that would have been more beneficial to you. Your invisible friends are willing and eager to help you in your effort to be authentic in whatever field you choose. However, their ability to assist you is hindered if one day you are adopting and applying the thoughts of a mind you consider inferior, and the next day the thoughts of another. Imagine you wish to build a ship. It would not be wise to leave it in the hands of a boat builder one day and in the hands of someone who only knows how to build barges the next day. However, this is precisely the mistake many people make by allowing themselves to be influenced easily by different thoughts, changing their focus from day to day, building today according to one design, and tomorrow according to a completely different one. If you aspire to live authentically and seek the wisest guidance for your journey, that guidance will come, but only if you hold your intention firmly. The ability of your unseen allies to support you depends significantly on the mental attitude you adopt toward them. Compromising your genuine beliefs in social settings out of fear of rejection places you under the mental influence of others. By prioritizing acceptance over your truth, you sacrifice authenticity, distancing yourself from higher sources of wisdom and leaving yourself vulnerable to lower influences. However, when you rise above such fears and stand firmly in your truth, your invisible allies will remain with you, paving the way for opportunities and growth. Fear, on the other hand, empowers those who seek to control. It transforms the oppressive into tyrants and the wealthy into relentless creditors. Fear of losing control drives the powerful, while fear of losing security shackles their subordinates. Both feed into a cycle of control and submission, perpetuated by fear. Fear paralyzes the spirit and sickens the body. It manifests everywhere: fear of poverty, hunger, rejection, failure, illness, or even death. For many, fear has become a constant companion, a deeply ingrained habit carried through every moment of life. It seeps into thoughts, radiating from every direction. The oppressed live under the fear of the oppressor, and the oppressor too is governed by their own insecurities. This toxic cycle infects society at all levels, stifling growth and suppressing truth. Consider the artist, afraid to share their work for fear of ridicule, or the editor who refuses to publish truths, fearing backlash. Fear restrains progress, ensuring that neither the individual nor society can evolve. True growth begins only when you release the weight of others' opinions and step boldly into your own light. Fear serves no purpose. It It will not help you repay a debt when funds are lacking, nor will it protect you from poverty or illness. Instead, fear weakens, drains, and destabilizes. It is the root cause of material lack and physical suffering. Living in constant apprehension, whether of losing love, money, status, or security, is the surest way to attract those very losses. So how do you break free from this cycle of fear and the influence of similarly afflicted minds? The first step is to confront your fears head-on, starting in the realm of your mind. Visualize yourself standing calmly and confidently in the face of your fears, whether it's a person, a challenge, or a daunting situation. What you vividly imagine, you begin to embody. Nurture thoughts of courage and strength, and they will grow within you. Claim courage as your own. Ask for it, and it will come to you in greater measure. Every step you take toward bravery becomes a permanent part of your character. The path to freedom lies in embracing this inner strength, and once you cultivate it, it will be yours forever.